Hey everybody, I'm going to go ahead and talk about how we represent negative numbers, especially in the context of kind of real world problems. What does a negative number mean in real life? What does a positive number mean in real life? And we're going to go through this. You probably will find this pretty easy. So let's go ahead and get started here. Okay, as for the warm up here, we're going to count by ones on this first one, and so the number line there indicates that we have negative 12. And so since we're at negative 12, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to, as we're going to the right, we're going to want to get bigger. I know it doesn't seem right, but as we're going to the right, we're going to want to get bigger. So negative 11 would go there, right? Negative 10 would go there, negative 9, etc. It's basically approaching 0 as we're going to the right. And then as we're going to the left, we're going to put negative 13. And that's how number lines work. Especially when you're dealing with the negative part of the number line, everything's a little bit backwards. Well, it's not just a little bit backwards, it's totally backwards. So, as we're going left, numbers are getting much, much smaller, but they appear to be getting bigger. Negative 13 isn't bigger than negative 12, it's actually smaller. But absolute values, that's what's getting bigger. All right, on the next warm up right there, we're going to count by fives. And so same thing, we have negative 25 indicated on that number line. And so as we go to the right, we're going to want to get bigger. And the next bigger by fives would be negative 20. And the next bigger after that would be 15. And as we go to the left, it's going to be negative 30 and negative 35. And that's all there is to it. All right, on this next part right here, what I did was I just kind of put together a bunch of words, kind of not necessarily a word wall, but a lot of words here that you can basically drag over and just figure out where do they go, like what do they mean? So we have two groups right here. We have negative and we have positive. Now, this Venn diagram isn't necessarily a typical Venn diagram. It's a Venn diagram where they don't intersect. All right, so negative are clearly exclusive to negative, and positive words are going to be exclusively positive. They are in those circles. There's not going to be any intersection here where there's like, well, it could be both. All right, so we're going to clearly define the two. And if you want to go ahead and try this on your own, go ahead. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of start at the top of that list there and drag those things over and put them in the right subset, okay? So climb, that's indicating that, it's going up. Climb a mountain or climb a ladder. So climb would be a positive word, okay? Over, so over, if I'm talking about like money or, I'm overdrawn or over, if we're over sea level, above sea level or something like that. Over would be a positive word. So I'm going to put that there. Hopefully I can fit these in. Fall, like a rock is falling. That would indicate negative. So that's our first negative word right there. Let's kind of go through here. Gain definitely sounds positive. We're increasing there. Decrease is pretty literal, so that would indicate a negative word. Dropped as well, that sounds negative to me. Dropped would go there. Under, again, like underwater. That's going to go right there. Raise, if you raise your salary at work, that's going to be positive. Put that in a better spot. Loss, that definitely sounds negative. Losing money is going to be a negative. Deposit, now that's a tricky word. That deposit is, I'm talking about in the context of banking. When you put money in a bank, either you're going to make a withdrawal or you're going to make a deposit. Now, a deposit means you're putting money in to the bank. Now, I know it doesn't seem very positive because you're, taking the money out of your wallet and you're putting it into the bank and you're not really holding it anymore. But you still have the money and it's a positive. It represents a positive amount. So deposit is going to go into the positive subset. Why don't I just go right to withdrawal? Now, withdrawal means to take money out of the bank. So if we're talking about our overall balance, if we're talking about how much money is in our account, all right, if we're making a withdrawal, we're taking money out, of course. And so that would represent a negative. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking like, well, if I have money in my pocket, that's a positive, which I guess is true. But if you're thinking about your balance, how much money is in your account, you have now less money. So withdrawal would be a negative, okay? Cut is definitely a negative. Okay, that's gonna be negative. Jump, I know that's a little weird word there, but that sounds like a positive word to me. So I put that there. Warmed. Okay, so warmed sounds like the temperature is going up, it's increasing. So warmed is definitely going to be a positive. Okay, so if the temperature is rising, of course it's going up. And then I'll just go ahead and do the opposite of that, which is cooled. If you're cooling something, that is going to be negative. Right? When the temperatures are below zero, obviously it's cold. It doesn't have to be below zero to be cold. It just has to be, that's relative to how you feel. But if it's below zero, it's definitely cold, in my opinion. Above would go into the positive set. Below is the antonym there. So that's going to go into the negative set, like below sea level. And then increase is a positive word. So that's where all those go. Now, the next thing you guys are going to be expected to do is be able to write integers representing certain situations. Okay, so like a gain of 12 yards. Now, of course, we're talking about football there. So if it's a gain of 12 yards, that's a positive, right? You've progressed 12 yards. Now, you don't have to put a plus sign, but I'm going to just do that to emphasize that it's positive. But if it's positive, you don't have to put a plus. You could just put 12, right? 12 or plus 12. A loss of 5 students, okay? Let's say we're doing a fire drill or something and I'm missing 5 students. Well, that would represent a negative. So -5. Okay, the next one here, a man is standing on a cliff 23 feet above sea level. And that's kind of important to note. That's above sea level. That person drops a rock that lands at the bottom of the water, which is 39 feet below sea level. So one of those represents positive and one of those represents a negative. Now, I would definitely say something that's above is positive, right? I would say if something's below sea level, that is going to represent a negative. Right, so which one of those examples below shows positive 23 and negative 20 or negative 39? And that looks like it's C. So there you go. On the next example here, it says Judy goes to the bank and deposits. And again, that's a word that we were talking about earlier. Deposits checks worth $195 while she withdraws $100. All right, so a deposit, and this is where it's good to know the meaning of these things, but a deposit is definitely going to be a positive because you're putting money into your account. Your balance is increasing, it's going up. And I'll just kind of put a little footnote here that's positive. And withdrawing money, again, I know it sounds positive, but withdrawing money, the money is being taken out of your account. Your balance is going down. So a withdrawal is going to be negative. All right, so I'm looking for an example there. I'm looking for numbers that make negative 100, withdrawing $100, and positive 195. And the only example that shows that is C again. Yeah, C always works, doesn't it? Now, what you can do right now is if you want to pause the video and just kind of do these on your own, And just make sure you know what these are. But I bet you guys are not having too difficult of a time understanding the difference between a positive and a negative number, especially in real life situations. So go ahead and pause it. If when you're ready, unpause it and go through. A decrease in elevation, that's got the word decrease. That definitely represents a negative number. So I'm going to put negative 567. Remember, if it's negative, you always have to put a negative sign. If it's positive, not so much. You can kind of leave that off. An increase in 26 points at the football game, well, that's going to be positive 26. Again, you don't need to put plus 26, but I'm just doing to emphasize that it's positive. A football team gains 15 yards, so that's going to be positive 15, and then loses 6 yards, so that's going to be negative 6. The stock market rises $8 on Monday and then falls $15. So rises obviously represents a positive. So I'm going to put plus 8. And if it's falling, that's negative. So minus 15. All right. So that does it for this lesson here, guys. When you're through with this video, go ahead and do the independent practice that I have indicated in your Google Classroom. Okay? All right, everyone have a great day or night, and see you later.